First off, I'd like to say happy Thanksgiving. Obviously, it's a great holiday, one that for me is one of my personal favorites just because of the opportunity to gather with the friends and family and no pressure of gifts and all the other things, just being with people and spending time with those you love. This week always reminds me of how many things that I have to be grateful for and thankful for. You know, so thankful for my family, my wife, and my 4 daughters. The opportunity to live here in Columbia. This is an unbelievable community that's really supported my family and myself over the last 3 years, and we love being here and being associated with this university and being the head football coach for not only this city but also this state. And what a tremendous honor that is, and a blessing. You know, to be surrounded, be thankful for the young men that play for us, you know, the 21 seniors that we were able to honor last Saturday, and all the other kids that have and families that have committed to play for us and be here with us on this journey. You know, core value number 4 for us is enjoy the journey, and that's what we're doing with the guys that are on this football team. And got a wonderful working environment with the staff that is here, the support through the athletic administration. And again, just so grateful for the opportunity to be here and really reflect on that this week. Obviously, very thankful for the fans. You know, we got a great fan base Saturday night. Those who stuck it out in some really tough conditions. We got people that didn't even wear shirts the entire game. Need to check on those guys this week, make sure they're healthy. But just really appreciative of them and our fan base and the support, and really need them to rally this week. You know, got a very difficult challenge ahead of us. Obviously, rivalry week in a game, the Battle Line Trophy versus Arkansas, and we need a big home field advantage. And our student section has been that for us. And I know they're on Thanksgiving break, but don't eat too much turkey. Get over the tryptophan. Get here for Friday's game, and let's make sure that our student section is rocking, that we're loud on third downs, and we give our team a huge advantage with the environment that we play in. Obviously, Coach Pittman's done an excellent job at the University of Arkansas, and they've got a really good football team. They've had a lot of consistency in their coordinators. Obviously, they've maintained the same 3 coordinators for 3 seasons. You can tell that they play fast within their schemes. Offensively, their quarterback is the engine that makes them go. Obviously, this will be the 3rd time that we've played against him. Golly, I hope he's graduating or going pro or something. Holy cow, he's an unbelievable player. Is able to really throw the football extremely well. He's a physical runner, but I think the thing that separates him is his ability to read defenses, and then even when protection breaks down, make the first defender miss, whether they're on him or not, and then extend plays. The play he made against BYU before half that led to a touchdown drive is as special a play as you can make as a quarterback, and just have a lot of respect for KJ as a player, and know that he's also a young man of high character. So going to be a very difficult challenge for our defense. Raheem Sanders, Rocket, is a tremendous running back, got great patience. They do a really nice job with their schemes to get him the ball in space. The transfer, Jaden Hazelwood, is a dynamic wide receiver that they use a lot like they did with the Burks kid last year, so they have a very good understanding of what they're trying to do. You know, defensively, they're very multiple in their scheme. You know, Bumper Pool, the linebacker that's been there for as long as we can remember, same with Hudson Clark. Very good players, very good on the front. They were able to reload with some transfers on the defensive line. And then obviously the special teams, Cam Little, their kicker, is a really good kicker, and Coach Fountain does an excellent job. So got our hands full, and with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Eli, some of the guys that were banged up on Saturday, I mean,
yeah.
Were those situations where in a different game they might have been available, and then what's Barrett's status?
Yeah, the only injury update that I have for sure that would be limiting for this week is that Xavier Simmons had a non-contact knee injury on the kickoff team, and he'll miss the remainder of the season. And really hate that for him, as we were playing him in one of his 4 games and trying to let him. He had a Liz Frank injury when we first got him on campus, and it took him all the way to August to get back, and really had made some progress, and was excited for him to get his opportunity. But obviously he's going to be out for the rest of the year. The rest of those guys, it's just Monday. We haven't even got to our practice yet. We have meetings today at 1 and go to practice. So we'll have more of an update when we release our injury report. But, I think, yeah, absolutely. Some of those guys, if they could play, they would play. But the athletic trainers and us decided, for that game and those situations, they didn't need to return. And we'll get those guys healthy, and we'll see who can play. And if they can't play, then next man up.
Agenda, the focus last week was obviously on the seniors. How much does maybe the focus, the message kind of shift? Obviously it's a rivalry game, but full eligibility on the mind at all?
Yeah, the only thing we're focused on is it's a rivalry game and it's trophy week, and that's it. None of the other stuff matters. The most important thing to us is that they have a trophy and we want it, and the only way to get it is to play our best game, and to prepare the way that we know how to prepare, and to play with unbelievable effort. And that's the focus, and that's why we did senior week last week. This week is all about rivalry week, Arkansas, and the Battle Line Trophy. And whatever happens after that happens. We're just focused on trying to win that trophy.
Coach, how do you guys manage the Thanksgiving, and whether players can go home, or you guys got to feed the building, and how much they can eat and all that type of thing?
Well, we got some big guys, so they can eat quite a bit. It is a little bit difficult on our players and our team, especially with the game being on Friday. And so, we will have a Thanksgiving family dinner with our team immediately following our fast Thursday, and then we'll give them a couple hours to go be with their families if that's what they choose to do. But we'll be in the hotel on Thursday night, like we would normally for a pregame. So it's one of the sacrifices that college football players have to make in college athletics, and it's difficult, and but it is what it is.
Coaching KJ, you've seen him a lot. What does he do that gives teams the most trouble?
Well, I think everybody undervalues his ability to throw the football. He's very accurate. He reads defenses really well. But the thing that makes him special is that he creates with his feet. He's able to, call a normal pass play. It's not there, even if protection breaks down and somebody gets to him, to shed that defender and then go get the first down. Very similar to Hendon Hooker and what he was able to do against us. There were several times that we had, a free defender on him, and he was able to shake him off and then go get extra yardage. And that's the guy you're counting on making the tackle. So, that's probably his secret weapon.
Eli, Arkansas's pass rush leads the SEC in sacks right now. What kind of challenges does that group present?
Yeah, I think, obviously they have a great scheme that creates havoc on defense because they're coming from multiple angles, and they're really not attacking necessarily gaps. They're attacking space. And they put you in a lot of different one-on-ones, and so that's going to be a challenge. Obviously, we've got a few guys with experience, and we got a true freshman, so we're going to have to really make sure we narrow the focus of what we do and make sure that our guys can execute.
Yeah, you mentioned the true freshman. How do you feel like he's held up starting at right tackle the past couple weeks?
Yeah, thought he's played very well. Obviously, there's things that he can improve on, and there's specific fundamentals that we've got to continue to work. But for the most part, he's held up his end of the bargain, playing, at that position, and the future's extremely bright for him. I think every time he steps on the field, he gains more and more confidence. And when you play with a high level of confidence, is as big and as powerful as he is, that's a special thing.
Do you like the fact that they have had consistency of coordinators with Bryles and Barry? Not that it makes it easy, but is it more familiar when you're getting ready for them, or has their systems changed much?
No, I think their systems evolve. I think all three of them, including special teams, they've gone to a two-man shield on punt. Everybody's growing and evolving, but you can tell there's a similar framework. There's the similar teachings. It's a similar structure, so there's more volume of defense that they carry or more volume of offense, but they're still the base identity of who they are. And you can tell, like guys like Bumper Pool or Hudson Clark or Simeon Blair, guys who've been there for a while, Miles Slusher. Those guys have a lot of experience in what they're doing, so it's not, in a short week, they're going to be able to pick it up and be ready to play.
Coach, is there a specific position group or maybe a player so that, you need everybody to play well, but is there one that's like you really got to make sure you're doing all your responsibilities this week so nothing big happens?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in football, that's the beauty of the game is that all 11 people on the field have to do their job at a high level for you to have any chance of success. Because if one person doesn't, then there's in the defense, there's a hole in your defense, and on offense, there's going to be an issue. So everybody's got to win their one-on-one matchups.
Eli, it looked like I think Barrett was like one of the regular starters that was out there for Sam's Sam's series in the fourth quarter. Is that kind of just having that leadership, veteran guy in the field for him?
Yeah, he's kind of our glue and on-the-field coach, and felt like that he could get everybody lined up and make sure that the plays were executed and give Sam, obviously Sam tried to throw him the first two passes, so there was a lot of comfort there, and actually throwing the third pass too. So.
I know you move everything up into the short week. Is there anything that when you have less time to prepare that you drill in on with your guys to make sure that they're with the schedule or anything in particular you always go to in a short week?
No, I think the biggest thing is making sure your guys are, the only people that need to feel stressed about it being a short week is the coaches. You want to try to get your players into a rhythm and a routine. So today is, and Monday in y'all's world, but when we go to the team meeting, it'll be Toughness Tuesday, and they'll be ready to go, and in their mindset, it'll just be a Tuesday practice, and we'll go from there. It balances us all up. Some people have Sunday off and practice Mondays. When you only have a 6-day work week, everybody has to have the same sort of schedule. So that's a good thing.
I know progress and improvement of a program goes beyond a lot of times just what the bottom line says. So where specifically do you feel like you guys have made a lot of improvements this year over where you were last year? And then second part, how important is it that these next couple games, like that progress does show up in the final record over a year ago?
Yeah, I think obviously when you're talking about success, everybody believes success is linear and it's always pointing up. And I think you got to understand the trajectory of what you're trying to accomplish. Obviously, taking over this program, there was a lot of challenges when we first starting with NCAA sanctions for 2 years, and then COVID, and now dealing with a transfer portal and NIL. And so, we're navigating all of those things in the middle of probably the most uncertain time in college football history. I think the things that we have done well is we have been to back-to-back bowl games, which was, I think there's only 2 other coaches in school history that have done that. We've recruited at one of the highest levels that this program's ever seen. We've drawn fan attendance back to one of the highest levels that it's been since pre-2015. We've built a brand new indoor facility and raised money at a high level. You're seeing progress on the defensive side of the ball, which had not been where we wanted it to be the previous season. And then offensively, obviously we are not where we want to be as far as the amount of yards and points, but we are dealing with a pretty young football team when you're starting a redshirt freshman center. You're starting a quarterback who hadn't played a whole lot. You've got, maybe your best 2 offensive weapons are a redshirt freshman or true sophomore and a true freshman. So the future to me is really bright. We're starting a true freshman at right tackle. We had a redshirt freshman make his first career touchdown catch at tight end. So I think we're improving the talent. I think we're improving the way we go through the process. And so I see a lot of growth. I see a lot of things to be excited about. I think you also look back at, football is all about gaining momentum and confidence as you continue to build. And looking forward to what lies ahead, I think, there's a little bit more favoring schedules that maybe allow for an opportunity to gain a little bit more momentum and confidence as we continue to build this program. And appreciative to our administration for realizing that it's all those things working together in sync to really have a program take off. And obviously we all want to have it to be straight up linear, but very rarely in my life has success looked like that. It's always been a process and building, and there's days you stub your toe, but it doesn't mean you just cut your toe off. It means you keep going and go back to work, and that's frustrating for fans and it's frustrating for people, but it's not frustrating for me when I see the vision of what we can accomplish and the vision of where we can go.
Eli, saw the report that Bushampton's calling plays now. What went into the decision to have him do that?
Where did you see that report?
On three
On 3. What was the source?
sources.
Sources. Yeah. I think there's a lot of talk about play calling and all that stuff. I mean, we have an offensive staff that puts everything together, and we go through all the situations, and then whoever's dialing up the plays at that time is a collective effort anyway. So I don't get caught up in too many sources and all that different stuff. But Bush has done a nice job taking the lead on some of it, but Marcus has done a nice job. Coach Looper's done a nice job. Coach Peeler's done a really nice job of inserting, some ideas here and there. So I think it's a little bit overblown, but appreciate Bush and his leadership, absolutely. And just honestly felt like if, just provide a spark. Maybe that was something that would spark us.
Jumping back to the growth you mentioned a little bit, how have you seen those younger guys that you mentioned kind of grow throughout the ups and downs of the season, maybe mindset-wise on the field?
Yeah, I think it's maturity. I think when you're young and you're disappointed with the result, you kind of make it about you, but you realize it's a process, and you got to continue to grow and develop. And I think that's really where we're seeing some growth is we have some young guys with talent, but it's got to be consistently displayed, and we're doing that. We're starting to do that. We're starting to gel, and I mean, we're getting better.
Eli, when you look back on a season that's had so many close losses and frustrating losses, is there any sort of extra incentive to get a win in the final regular season game to get that record to where it maybe should be?
I haven't put any thought process into the season overview and all that. All I'm focused on is this game this week being 1-0 and stacking that up. And after the game on Friday, then I'll take 48 hours and kind of reflect on where everything is. But right now, my mindset's not on reflection or doing all that. My mindset is on how do I rally this team over the next 5 days to be prepared to play our best game, because that's what we need to do. Good teams play better each and every week, and I felt like, obviously with the way things ended against Tennessee, I thought it was really important for us to bounce back and offensively, to score on our first 3 drives, to score on the opening series of both the first half and the second half, which is the first time we've done that all year. There was real growth there to convert some big third downs. We converted a 4th down. I was really pleased with that mindset. Defensively, I thought, to force 2 turnovers, to get the pick 6, to force pressure, to limit their explosives, to really make them drive the ball, which is not something we had done the previous game, to give us some momentum again. I thought that was really important to build for this week. I'm not really worried about close losses, or blowouts. Like that doesn't have anything to do with this week. This week's about us playing our best game to try to win a rivalry game, and that's what matters to me.
Yes, Sam Pittman said this morning or this afternoon that he's not sure if Bumper Pool plays this weekend. So I know that the scheme doesn't change based on who's in there necessarily, but when there's such an impactful guy like that, I mean, does that change what you guys do during the week?
I hadn't heard this.
I literally saw it on Twitter 5 minutes ago.
Thank God for you being on Twitter. Thank you, Elon Musk. Well, I think Sam's just throwing out rat poisoning. That's what I think that is. I think that's rat poisoning. I think Bumper Pool's a tremendous player, and he's a tough young man, and he plays his guts out. And I would be shocked if he didn't find a way to play in a rivalry game. But I mean, they've got capable players, and they play really good football. And he's had to miss some games, or not games, but time, just because of dealing with injuries. So they've got capable players behind him, and we'll have to figure that out. The interesting. I'm not gonna let that tidbit go. Where'd you see that?
Christina Long tweeted it a few minutes ago.
I wish Sam would just call me and tell me, and we wouldn't have to deal with all this.
Eli, I don't know if we'll talk to you next week, but do you have any sense what December 5th is going to be like when the portal opens?
Yeah, it's gonna be a madhouse. I mean, I think if the FCS portal today is opened up and it's completely crazy, and I don't think there's any reason that's going to be any different. Be careful what you wish for. So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to try to be measured with some of the things I say, just because I think this stuff always gets to be put back on you and all that stuff. But I think back to the question talked about growth, and very rarely is growth just like this, and very rarely in life, whether it's the story of bamboo, who bamboo grows very little for 6 years and then 6 weeks will sprout 6 feet, whether you're talking about my father-in-law who's a farmer, and you don't plant seed and it grows the next day. You got to go through a spring, you got to go through rain, you got to go through mud, you got to go through heat, and then something great comes and bursts through the ground for that. I think we're such a instant gratification era, including myself. I'm not putting this on anybody. It's the entire world we live in, that we're trying to skip the step of adversity and growth. And you're never going to be able to skip that in life. You're always going to have to face it, whether that's in your marriage, whether that's in your job, whether that's raising kids. And I know what's happened. We want to, as parents, as older people, we want to help the next generation not have to face some of the hardships that we faced. But man, the greatest generation in the world is the greatest generation, because they faced the Great Depression, they faced the World War II. They figured it out. And I just worry about, there's going to be players who leave our program, and I love them dearly, and it's maybe they're not excited about their role, or they're frustrated because they don't feel like they're being utilized the right way. And sometimes you just got to keep growing, and sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side, and sometimes you're just trading one set of problems for another. So
I don't know if you guys know this, because this is the first time you've really been through it, but how much have coaches talked about, between, Saturday and December 21st are going to have potentially bowl games, signing day, transfer portal opens. I mean, how do you prioritize that and kind of manage the time in those 3 weeks?
yeah, you're going to have all kinds of issues, because you're going to have the
Coaching changes?
hope.
Not in general.
Thank God for that extension. And going back to the transfer thing, we didn't even talk about, that was just for people that are not necessarily happy. Then you're going to have the other factor of people wanting to maybe negotiate a better deal because of NIL and all that other stuff. It's going to be, I don't know. Nobody's prepared for this because we've never faced it before, but you're going to have the issue of players going into the transfer portal. Do they get to finish out and play in bowl games, or do they not? You're going to have players declare for the NFL draft. And then you're going to have the fact that you've got some players that are redshirted, and so your roster's a little bit limited on who actually can play and can't play going into a bowl game. So there's a lot of challenges to that, plus you got to sign a recruiting class, plus you got to recruit your own roster. So, and then you got to try to talk in, you got to advise players who have NFL potential on whether or not they should come back or whether they should go. So you know, there's a big challenge there, and we will step up to the challenge, whatever that may be, whatever that may look like. But the only thing I'm focused on right now is we've got a 1 o'clock team meeting, and I need to make sure I'm at my best for that, and I need to make sure our team is focused and ready to go for a rivalry game.
So with all that, everything that's going to happen in December and everything that's happening already, what has stayed the same? Like, is there anything that you still feel rooted in that isn't changing?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Yeah, the direction and vision of this program. I think the biggest thing that I've tried to make sure that our administration and hopefully our fans know is that stability and discipline in an uncertain environment is a recipe for success. And I clearly know what we're trying to accomplish here and how we're doing that, how we're encouraging young men to chase two dreams, a life with football and a life outside of the game. And that's not going to change. We want them to maximize their ability as a football player. We want to surround them with everything they possibly can have to chase that dream of being the best football player they can be. But we also understand that at some point, football ends for everybody, and we want to make sure they have a world-class degree so that they can be a positive influence on our society. We want them to produce leaders in a world that desperately needs people of character in leadership. And that's not changing here. They know that every day they walk in this building, we're going to require that they always compete. That their job is to be better today than they were yesterday, that we build trust and respect, that we trust them and we respect the time and amount of energy they put in. They respect that we're experts in our field, and then they trust that we have their best interest at heart. We're always going to say, you got to do more than what's expected. All right, if you do the same thing as everybody else and they're in front of you, they're staying in front of you. That's a life lesson that they always got to know. And then enjoy the journey. And so when everything else is uncertain, you can know that that's what this program is built on, and that's what this program is going to be about. You know that Ryan Russell's going to develop you with an elite edge every single day. And you're going to be required to have energy. You're going to be required to have details, grit, and emotional consistency. And that ain't changing. That's not changing here. And you know that our defensive coordinator is going to be here, and we're going to have a great defense. You know that I'm going to be the head football coach here, and that vision for our program is not changing. You know Ryan Russell is going to develop you with an elite edge. You know that our academic department is going to help you grow and have a great academic success rate. You know that our player development opportunities for you. You know there's going to be great opportunities for NIL. And that's been demonstrated throughout the commitment to our team from our fan base. And so those are the things that you know. Those are known quantities. And if that's what you're choosing to, well, you know, either join or leave, then you at least know what it is.
Thank you, guys.
Is that it? You got anybody other questions?
Can I do one more?
Sure. Happy Thanksgiving.
Eli, you kind of mentioned like trying to find another running back, kind of take some of that work off Cody. I think it was like 3 weeks ago. You rushed a bunch of carries. Maybe kind of found someone that's consistently doing that.
Man, I thought Cody had his best game of the year, as consistent as he was last week. You know, and so, you know, this is a rivalry game, and this is going to be players make plays. And it's going to be kind of like Game 7 of the World Series. If we got to put a right-hander in for this play, and we got to put a left-hander in for this play, and we got to pull whatever we got to do to win this game. So I'm not really worried about who's taking it off of him. You know, whatever we got to do to win, whatever players got to play to make a play. You know, if we need speed on the edge, we got to get a running back in there. If we need a downhill run, we got to get a running back in there. If we got to line up in something that gets somebody else the best player of the ball, that's what we're going to do. So. We'll worry about all that other stuff this spring. All we're worried about is trying to find a way to win this game.
We're good?
Uh-oh.
The other thing I learned on Twitter is that Sam Pittman does not have TikTok, so.
That's a